Stuff! Alrighty then, another episode of Bra Stuff. This one will cover some of my pop culture items. Being born in the 70s, you know I gotta start with Sesame Street. Here I combine my love for collecting records with collecting something I can reflect back on my childhood. The years before you start paying bills, taxes, and worrying about what you eat. So this was signed by Carol Spiney, who was Big Bird for half a century. And this record is signed by 2 of the 6 Brady kids. Who didn't grow up with the Brady kids? Marsha. I still have some wrestling figures, as my once large wrestling collection has been slowly sold off. You can't collect everything. I just kept a few of the classic LGN figures. Here I have some photos signed by some more current stars of the WWE. The photos you get when you go to a convention, stand in line, and get something signed. I love old lunch boxes but can never find them at a good price, so I just have a few. In the 80s, Masters of the Universe was what every kid was watching. I collected a lot of figures, but like the wrestling figures, I have since sold off the majority of what I had. Only keeping the main dudes here, He-Man and Skeletor on the big cats, and also Beastman, because he's a beast. Back there I have some newer Jurassic Park vehicles. I remember going to see the original Jurassic Park on a date back in 1993. Speaking about relationships, how nice it would have been to have Phoebe Cates as a girlfriend. Here's her 45 single from her movie Paradise. There's also a Napoleon Dynamite, and that figure is signed by actor Jon Heder. Now let's get to outer space. Battlestar Galactica first appeared on TV in September 1978, about a year after Star Wars hit the theaters. I was all spaced out. It has since had a very cool reboot in the early 2000s, but I will always love those original Cylons. So glad to find an old poster of them. Back to the space shelf, I have E.T. and some X-Files. Again, I've sold off many of those little E.T. figures and the X-File figures. There are some other cool items back there like a Charlie Brown comb. And now it's time for my favorite sitcom, Welcome Back, Kotter. This New York classroom comedy ran from September 1975 to May of 1979. As a little kid, I thought all the characters were the coolest high school kids ever. And it also is one of the best theme songs of any TV show. Speaking of cool theme songs in space, Buck Rogers in the 25th century. I paid a lot for this figure, but I just had to own something to remind me of the good times of watching the outer space girls that Buck would flirt with. Got an Austin Powers, and assorted figures from The Tick, a witty and very funny cartoon which ran for 3 seasons in the mid-90s, my favorite figure being the man-eating cow. And I try to grab anything with my favorite eating establishment, Taco Bell, on it. Now, this is actually a newer figure from The Dark Crystal, along with an original card. Now the other show that ties for my favorite sitcom, The Love Boat. I would love to get Isaac, but I could only find Julie still on the card and in good shape. I love that show. It takes me back to a time when I would just sit on the living room floor with my family and laugh at all the crazy stars they would have on the cruises. It also has an awesome campy theme song. Like everyone, I have a few Simpsons characters that I kept, and a few figures from the movie Congo. What pop collection wouldn't have a little troll doll in it? My favorite alien from Toy Story, Taz, and Steve Irwin on Crocodiles. And also a show I loved watching with my father, All in the Family. Good old Archie Bunker. Another one of my favorite movie franchises is Planet of the Apes. I lost all my figures I had as a kid besides this one. I like the newer figures they put out as well. This is a poster from one of the best shows ever, Solid Gold. As a young boy, I would watch for the songs and the dancers. Showbiz Pizza House Band here. Blueberry, my favorite cereal. And a very cheesy 80s kid show, The Great Space Coaster. It's hard to find items from this show, but when I do at a good price, I try to pick it up. Here I have a cast photo of the TV show Real People. We recently lost Fred Willard. Although I don't remember watching SCTV that much, I love the movie Strange Brew, featuring Bob and Doug McKenzie, Got SNL's John Belushi ready to chop them up. Here I have 2 characters from The Clerks. This is a Val Kilmer autograph. A signed photo from Battlestar Galactica. And a Bo Derek autograph. I was lucky enough to meet Bo once. What a 10. Something I got last year and had to wait a long time in line for was this John Travolta autograph. Now being in Welcome Back Kotter, Grease, Saturday Night Fever, I just had to get it. Here I have a Tron signed figure. And a few items from the 1981 animated movie Heavy Metal. They oddly enough just came out with 2 figures from that movie. And last but not least, although not really vintage, but something very cool, are these figures from the 2018 Wes Anderson movie Isle of Dogs. Well, I hope you like what you saw, happy collecting, and thanks for watching.